Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the industry dialogue of the PIM Annual Research Conference 2022. I'm Tharandu Amarasekara, your host for this evening. I'm senior lecturer of PIM. Throughout the whole day, we've been talking about the importance of business leaders, academics, researchers, being alert to, being aware of the latest research, the latest insights, and most importantly, what's happening in the world out there. Hence is our theme for this research conference, which is none other than reflecting on reality through research. Now at PIM, it's not always about the talk, it's about walking the talk. And that's exactly where this industry dialogue comes of utmost vitality. The key thing here is that while we do showcase some of the latest research of our PIM learning partners, at the same time, we also open up for the comments of an expert panel of industry specialists, and that perfect combination, the perfect mix of research and industry expertise is ultimately what contributes towards creating new knowledge, practical applications, the implications of which will help your business to unlock the next level and progress. To continue with today's proceedings, I now wish to invite the director of the Postgraduate Institute of Management, Dr. Senaka Kalum Gamage, to deliver the welcome address. Armed with over 2 decades of experience in the university level education management, Dr. Gamage has served as the director of World Bank funded higher education projects of the University of Sri Jayewardenepura for over 10 years. He's a veteran in the field of knowledge creation, and he is acknowledged in the industry for his significant contribution to academia and value-based leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Dr. Senaka Kalum Gamage, Director of PIM.
Thank you, Tharandu. Warmly welcome all of you to this very important session. This is the last session of our annual research conference. Today, from the morning up to now, we had a very fruitful and productive discussion about the research findings of our doctoral as well as our master students. So we are very happy regarding the proceedings happened until now. So now we come to the last final session. This is our industrial dialogue. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome all of you to this final session of the annual research conference of PIM 2022. Let me especially recognize the presence of the following very important personalities who are here for this industrial dialogue. First of all, I would like to specially welcome Dr. Mrs. Iddika Senaratne, Director General of Sri Lanka Standard Institute. Welcome, madam, for very specific purpose. As we know, PIM got the extension of quality education from SLS ISO certification 9001-2015 extended until 2024. She will be handing over that certificate to us today. So welcome for this very important session. Further, I extend my warm welcome to the industry dialogue panel members, very important for us to them. First of all, Mrs. Mahesha Amarasuriya, Director of MasterCard. Actually, they are one of our strategic sponsors of the PIM. And also, I would like to extend my warm welcome to Ms. Anjana Vijay Singh, CEO of the Perfect Business Solution and Services PBSS Group, also our strategic partner for this annual conference as well as our future events. And also, I would like to welcome our own Mr. Asanga Ranasinghe, Chairman of the SLSI, as well as the PIM MBA Coordinator for this very important industrial dialogue. Further, I extend my warm welcome to the Ms. Triyanti Tevara Peruma, MD, Ceylon Oxygen, and also the chairperson of the Postgraduate Institute Alumni Association. Welcome, madam, to this session. I would like to welcome our moderator, former director of the PIM, Professor Ajanta Dharmasiri, and also the senior faculty member who will be moderating today's important session. Further, I would like to recognize Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka, coordinator of this very important industrial dialogue. I also like to welcome all the other PIM faculty members who are present here, paper presenters, especially the paper presenters who are going to present your findings to the industrial people today. all administrative and the non-administrative staff members who are present here. My welcome goes to our organizing committee. Their hard work, dedication to have this wonderful session today, whole day from 8:30 up to now. Thank you very much for your commitment and dedication to have this wonderful research conference, PIMARC 2022. Members of all our learning partners and other invitees participating through virtual as well as the physical in this particular platform. So I am pleased to welcome all of you to the PIM Industrial Dialogue. It's a key event of the PIMARC. This is held with the intention of linking the industry with the researchers, where the contemporary issues faced by the industry are discussed with the participation of academic industry practitioners and even policymakers. This helps to bring the industry and the academia closer together and strengthen the ties. This year, Industry Dialogue targeted knowledge translation, which provide the platform for the business-related debates. Our paper presenters who are going to make the presentation in front of the eminent panel members who are going to join this industrial dialogue will able to get the opportunity to discuss their applicability of their findings to the actual practices with the business leaders who will join for this session. With that note, while congratulating all the paper presenters who are going to make the presentation today evening, let me wholeheartedly wish PIMARC 2022 Industrial Dialogue great success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sena Kalungamage, Director of PIM, for those encouraging words in your welcome address. Now, it is time for a momentous occasion, which is the handing over of the ISO certification to PIM. Of course, PIM, an institution that constantly engages in unrelenting efforts to enhance the quality, and it always feels good to be recognized for those efforts. We will be having Dr. Siddhika Senaratne, the Director General of the Sri Lanka Standards Institution, who will be handing over the ISO certificate to Dr. Senaka Kalungamage, the Director of PIM, and she will be accompanied by Mr. Asanga Ranasinghe, Senior Faculty Member of PIM, as well as the Chairman of the Sri Lanka Standards Institution. Gentlemen and ma'am, can we please move in front? You can come to the front, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Siddhika Senaratne and Mr. Sangarana Singh, as well as Dr. Sena Kalungamage. Now, time for messages from our very important corporate partners and sponsors. Ladies and gentlemen, please do focus on the screen. Thank you very much to our corporate partners and sponsors. Now, as per the agenda, I would like to introduce the panelists who will be sharing their valuable thoughts on the presentations that will be presented to them by our learning partners shortly. Now, PIM always, as I said, we walk the talk. So while the world talks about gender balance and gender equality, as you can see, we've practiced it here with the 6 main roles of the industry dialogue being equally distributed between the ladies and gents, as you can see here on the screen. In no particular order, to introduce the panelists for this evening, we have Ms. Mahesha Amarasuriya, Director of MasterCard. Mahesha is a director attached to MasterCard Sri Lanka, and prior to assuming her present role, she was the Assistant General Manager for Card Services and a member of the corporate management team of Cargill's Bank, and has close to 20 years of experience in banking and finance, including corporate banking, private banking, and electronic payments. Mahesha is presently serving on the CIMA Global Council and is also a member of the Global Membership Committee of CIMA. She served as the chairperson on the CIMA Sri Lanka Country Network panel in 2018. Mahesha is a fellow member of CIMA UK and a chartered global management accountant. She is also a member of ACCA UK and holds a Bachelor's of Arts Honours from the University of Colombo and an MBA from the Postgraduate Institute of Management. Welcome home indeed. She was also the valedictorian of her batch and presently a member of the executive committee for the PIM Alumni Association. Next, we have with us Ms. Anjana Vijay-Singha, who is the CEO of the PBSS Group, an experienced CEO with a demonstrated history of working in the SAP ERP system delivery, finance, information technology, and services industry, and skilled in handling project implementations, project management, administration, sales, and marketing, and has a strong sales professional and associate member of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, and also a fellow member of the Certified Management Accountants of Sri Lanka. Welcome, Ms. Anjana Vijay-Singha. We also have Ms. Shiranti Tevarapperuma, the Managing Director of Lanka Oxygen and also the current chairperson of the PIM Alumni Association, PIMARC. Shiranti is a finance professional and counts for over 26 years of experience in the field of finance and management. She holds a bachelor's degree in commerce from the University of Colombo and is a member of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants UK. She obtained her master's in business administration from the Postgraduate Institute of Management in 2012. Shiranti, to you too, I say welcome home. Our next panelist is our very own Mr. Asanga Ranasinghe, chairman of the Sri Lanka Standards Institution, and he has over 25 years of experience in the fields of corporate strategy, marketing, sales, and customer development, supply chain management, manufacturing, and research and development. And in addition to being the chairman of the Sri Lanka Standards Institution, he is also a senior faculty member of PIM and also the current MBA coordinator. He holds a bachelor's degree in chemistry with a special honors from the University of Colombo and an MBA from PIM. And he has also held executive positions in a number of prestigious local and multinational organizations. Mr. Ranasinghe, I believe you've been a part of many panel discussions in your career, but I'm quite sure this evening will be the most exciting one indeed. Our moderator for this evening is none other than Professor Ajantha Dharmasiri. Professor Ajantha Dharmasiri has a rare combination of being a chartered manager, a chartered HR professional, and a chartered electrical engineer. He's an acclaimed conference speaker, trainer, strategy consultant, and author, as well as an academic. He is the former director and former chairman of the Board of Management of PIM and an adjunct professor at Price College of Business, University of Oklahoma. Welcome, Professor Ajantha. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our panel who will be working with the presentations, sharing their ideas, sharing their thoughts, just so that at the end of this industry dialogue, we can contribute to an enhanced existence of knowledge, which we hope we pray will help Sri Lankan and global businesses to make the key decisions to steer their organizations through this crisis. Next, to give an introduction to the industry dialogue and about the purpose of our gathering here today, I would like to invite the stream coordinator for the industry dialogue of the PIM Annual Research Conference, Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka. Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka is a senior management consultant and a faculty member of the Postgraduate Institute of Management. He is also heading the Executive Development Program Strategic Business Unit Cluster in PIM. Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka has graduated from the University of Kalani with a special degree in Human Resources Management, an MBA from PIM, as well as a PhD from the Infrastructure University of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Industry Dialogue Stream Coordinator, Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The director, Dr. Sena Kalum Gamage, the co-chairs, Professor Ajanta Dharmasiri, and let me recognize the presence of Professor Nilaksi Galiti via virtual mode. You can see on the screen here. Distinguished faculty members, distinguished invitees, the distinguished panelists, the PIMA, the Executive Council representatives, PIM staff, and all the presenters, ladies and gentlemen. So my task within next 5 minutes is all about highlighting two things. That is about what is this industry dialogue is about and what is in it. So if I highlight that under the theme of PIMARC 2022, PIM Annual Research Conference, the reflecting reality through research, if you look at that overarching theme, where this industry dialogue is the last item of the agenda. So here we are going to look at the reflecting reality in multiple industries through research. So with that, when it comes to the theme is all about knowledge translation. So are we having enough or adequate effort to translate knowledge into application? I think if I ask about what is about industry dialogue, so that's one of the core challenges to the particularly higher education institute like PIM or those who are in higher education, because the general psyche is about it's about knowledge. It's knowledge, but can they practice? So this is the discussion in across industries. But I'm happy to say that from a PIM point of view that we are happy to say that we are not in that track. Instead, we have a larger delivery purpose. So in that sense, if you look at this knowledge translation is all about the acquisition, the capturing knowledge and translating into multiple applications. So in that sense, apart from the PIM overall delivery under the vision, mission, and the relevant the driving pillars of the organization, what we are looking at in terms of getting this into a reality, because outer in the industry, they are looking for complex problem solving. So from a PIM point of view, we are sharing, imparting a wider perspectives, which is called conceptual, subject knowledge. So where is the bridge? The subject knowledge, conceptual knowledge into the practical application. So in that sense, if you look at one of the core propositions of PIM, out of this final projects, it is not a general final project perspective. It is about how to looking at this complex problem solving into a realistic, meaningful manner. So in that sense, ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to say on behalf of the PIM entire distinguished faculty here, I'm just sharing my views as a stream coordinator of the industry dialogue. Here, the social research dimension, industry research dimension. So if you look at broadly, the social research dimension may not directly involving with the direct problem solving, but giving a lot of theoretical and managerial, social, practical implications for practitioners to acquire, take it and use it. It's amply there. It's a matter of taking it and using it. In terms of the industry research, it's all about direct intervention to solve problems. So in that sense, PIM has expanded its horizons into multiple dimensions, like some want to solve the problems upfront. So that is where entrepreneurship comes. So they identify the market requirements and they themselves embark on a journey of establishing a company. In terms of some companies, they have their managerial operational issues, problems. They want to show results. They want to see the results so that our MBA, the learning partners, can they contribute that? That is where the social, in terms of the industry, the skills aspect. Whereas in certain cases, they need some consultancies, they need some implementable projects, they need to solve their problems, but with practical implementable projects. So for that, we have management field research projects. So like that, we have wide dimensions, the perspectives, of course, options available. So in that sense, now today on my left, you can see that in a sequential order, you are going to witness 4 presentations. The first gentleman would talk about entrepreneurial aspects. So how he has embarked on a journey of starting a business. We call entrepreneurial skills research project. So you are going to see that how he has solved that problem and getting into a business of establishing and doing something worthwhile. The gentleman next is looking at the aspect of a company problem, taking a problem, solving it and showing the results, giving the real value addition to the organization. Whereas if you look at the third one, in fact, that is a management field research project. So second one is we call management skills research. The third one is called managed field. That is broadly like a consultancy. Where in this case, I'm happy to say that in that case, during the pandemic time, he has given to the company, and in fact, it has been established and introduced, and they have yielded the results. The company has given a fascinating letter to the PIM, showcasing that one of the confidential internal letters, giving and showing that, look, how this project has value added, value created within the organization. That's one of the fascinating cases. And finally, we are not like just leaving here the social research dimension. So that is where this lady would present about how the social research perspectives give managerial implications for most of the problems which we are encountering. So all in all, which you are going to showcase the 4. So in my front, I can see that the 4 different the versatile panelists, now they can come and look at how they can apply this knowledge, how they can see the areas where that they are encountering from these areas, what learning we can take it home, like we can use it, or are there any other suggestions, or there are other ways, so that their views are also vital. I'm sure Professor Dharmasiri would get those derived, and that discussion we are eagerly waiting for. So all in all, it's all about value creation. As you know, it's a matter of always the higher education institute like us has a major implicit task of getting this knowledge translation into a practice. So if I put it to 3 words, it's like not just value for money. It is not value adding also. It's about value creation. So the companies are looking for value creation. For that, are we ready? So this is one of the showcasing moments. So I would invite you to all to enjoy that intellectual journey. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka. So, ladies and gentlemen, the stage has been set. The journey ahead has been clearly explained and defined. And now it is time to commence the presentations of this evening. They are the stars of the evening, one would say, because it's their research efforts that we present to you today. And we hope our industry panelists will benefit from these information shared, and their comments will further enable them to take their research forward and add more value to their corporate activities as well as the economic activities of the nation. Our first presentation is by Mr. T.M.W. Suranjit or Mr. Varuna Suranjit. It's a research that has been carried out by Mr. Varuna Suranjit and BAS in Indwara. The title, Establishing a Business to Provide Employee Performance Management Systems to IT companies. Without further delay, let me hand over the forum to we will hand over the forum to Mr. Varuna Suranjit, and all the presenters have been given 15 minutes. And at the end of the first 10 minutes, you will hear the bell. Kamalin, I believe you are there. Yes, right. We will hear the bell as a reminder, and then at the end of the next 5 minutes, the bell will be rung. Thank you very much.
Right. Good evening, everyone. I, Varuna Tennakon, and my learning partner, Supun Indura, are here to present our entrepreneurship skills research project, where we established a business to provide employee performance management systems to IT companies. Our company name is Stride Software Private Limited, and the name of the main product we sell is Stride Pal. So this will be the lineup of our presentation. Discussing about the background of our project, why did we decide to embark on an entrepreneurial activity pertaining to performance management system? So basically, employee dissatisfaction over performance management processes and appraisals is common in most companies. A lack of innovative goal setting, a lack of real-time feedback mechanisms, and the inability to measure the performance of the knowledge workers have been creating problems in the performance management process in organizations. As Andy Grove, the previous CEO of Intel, said, there are so many people working so hard, but achieving so little. So this is the problem we were trying to solve. This purely because the organizations are finding it difficult to align their strategic direction with the actual work they do on a daily basis. We wanted to build a system which can help mitigate this problem by guiding the teams to focus on the things that matter the most. So when it comes to assessing the business case, we used multiple approaches to validate our case. We ran a small survey within a company, and a questionnaire was used to collect ideas from the HR executives. Since we are IT guys, our background is IT. And we did a competitor analysis as well to roughly get an understanding about the current offerings. These data revealed that the current offerings in the market focus on the organization's overall HR aspect, thereby not paying 100% attention to the performance management aspect, which has created the need for a specialized tool or software that can be sold to organizations which are serious about their performance management process. So we are addressing a very specific niche here. So why IT companies, our target market sector? They have the money, of course. As per the empirical evidence, Sri Lanka's IT sector has grown by 300% within a decade, becoming the 4th highest exporter earner of the company. So the exponential growth is, of course, a reason why we targeted the IT sector. Besides the sector's growth, our personal experience working for the same industry makes it an ideal place to focus initially. Furthermore, our literature review focused on exploring more evidence on the subject matter and how substandard performance management systems would affect the overall performance of knowledge companies. So yeah, so this is an interesting slide. Here we are trying to explain the shortcomings and the prevailing issues which have created a gap in the market. And how are we going to fill that gap? By catering to this uncontested market space. So this word comes from the blue ocean strategy. Current offerings in the market mainly revolve around concept of HRIS, the full package. They look at a monolithic problem of which performance management is only a single component. Whereas we are going to compete in this uncontested niche market, which we have identified as a blue ocean, where more prominent players overlook performance management. We will focus on solving the many problems that have made performance management a key issue in IT companies. And we don't want to compete with the bigger HRIS providers. Instead, our objective is to complement their software. So this is the business model depicted using Aishma Ra's lean canvas model. So our model clearly shows what is our unique value proposition, what is the unfair advantage we have, which is our intimate knowledge about the customer segment and our 20+ years of collective experience in the industry. It explains the problem we are trying to solve and how are we going to solve it by goal congruence, aligning goals across the company, and streamlining the performance management systems through continuous feedback and performance data collection. So, and it shows that, you know, aspect of the business model, such as customer segments, channels, cost and revenue streams as well. So it will take quite a while to explain the whole model. So I'll move on. So we have, regarding the feasibility study, before we commence in the project, we have done a thorough financial feasibility study at the outset, forecasted cash flow statements, break-even analysis, NPV calculation. We have done all that. As per our assessments, the project was financially viable, as we had a positive NPV and a profitability index of over 200%. So we only needed 2 sales to break even, and our revenue targets were also achievable as per the feasibility study. Most importantly, we could, you know, finish the project within the PIM duration. So that's it. And so we have, of course, the industry experience is also there. So that is one aspect of the feasibility. So we can get the software development up and running. So ERRC grid, this is part of the Blue Ocean strategy toolbook. So eliminate, raise, reduce, and create. So this is a good tool to what we want to eliminate in our product and what we want to raise, and likewise. And based on this inputs, we are depicting in a graphical tool, another diagnosis tool in Blue Ocean strategy canvas. So basically what we wanted to highlight is like how we position ourselves when compared with the other players in the same arena. So moving on to the entry wedges, the 2 types of customers with that we had to cater: customers with no existing HRIS and customers with existing HRIS. So our motto is complement, don't compete. So this is the work breakdown structure. We used a phase structure, and our main project components were initiation, planning, execution, and closure. So adhering to all the PIM requirements for the MBA. Yeah, moving on to the interesting parts. Implementation stage, we registered the business as a private limited company, and we registered ourselves for EPF, ETF, IRD, NIPO for registration, you name it, we registered, best to, it's part of the requirements as well. But later on, we realized that, it's best that we registered there initially. Right. And building the workplace. So we leased a place in Battaramulla, so a lot of memories there, to base the software development center. The business normal must be based in a suitable location for operational convenience, of course. Many factors were taken into account since we are dealing with IT guys. So considering the IT culture and the desires of the IT professionals, Gen Z people, looking comfortable offices, we had to consider everything, even though we were a startup. So we had to make the place appealing, and we wanted to create an open plan office as well. So these were all literature based. So for the open plan office also we did a literature review. So but yeah, so scientific approach everywhere. Office where information flow and information flow was very seamless. And we designed the floor plan conforming to open plan design as well. But we used the furniture from the second-hand market. So yeah. As for recruitment, we targeted freshers from government and private universities, and we kept the costs to a minimum. It had its own downsides, but that's how we managed. since Mr. Asang is also here, so we wanted to craft a strategy, not to create a strategy for the company while avoiding myopic thinking. So to answer the question, in what business are you in? And the answer is we are in the business of providing HR performance software for organizations in which knowledge workers run the show. So our vision is to transform performance management through technology. Our mission, build software that makes performance management easy and meaningful. So the brand name Stride Pal is a conjunction of two words, stride and pal. Stride means, work with long decisive steps in a specific direction. Pal is for friend. So in essence, Stride Pal is a friend who would help you progress in a specific direction through streamlined goals, OKRs, and real-time feedback. That's what Stride Pal can deliver. So MVP is all about building enough features in the product to add some value to the customer while generating some revenue. So in our MVP, we made sure that goal congruence, OKR dashboard, 360-degree assessment that is customizable, easy updates for the OKRs, measurement criteria, everything was included in the initial MVP. Focusing on the OKR support. OKR support is one of the main features of the MVP. On the right side, is the full list of other features that we built for the MVP. So it's a lot of work. And this slide is all about the processes that we adhere to. Basically, we are using agile process. We were using agile process for the software development work that we carried inside. Yeah. Financials. The company started earning profit from the last 3 months. Back in April, I think. Yeah, the net profit ratio remained 50% in average for this period, which indicated the healthy direction of the company. The balance sheet of the company as at 31st of January 2022. So this is some old data, but yeah. So in the benefit cost analysis, we only considered the tangible benefits, even though there are many intangible benefits. So benefit cost ratio is 1.13, indicates a viability of the business venture. So regarding the difficulties, so we face many difficulties due to COVID pandemic, due to lockdown periods, face difficulties in furnishing the office, physical interviews, working together in the office space, and many more. We adjusted the situation and did work online as possible as we can, and we face talent acquisition issues as well due to the competitive nature of the market we are in, and we settled in hiring interns and train them instead of acquiring experienced developers. Though we've automated most of the quality assurance, we had to face some QA issues due to the lack of experience. So yeah. Also the rupee depreciation increase, the infrastructure cost as well. And there were electronic equipment shortage as well during that time, chip issues. So laptops and all the other products, the prices were increased. So going back to the customer feedback, so we are using all the casual ways and means of dealing with the customers. We are using WhatsApp, Teams, and emails and everything. So these are real feedbacks and the communications that happen when we were delivering the application for the first customer. And also we gave them a Kanban board as well, so everyone was on the same page. So we gained these skills. So I'll skip to the most interesting skill that I can consider to conclude my session. The biggest learning outcome for us has been the value of self-belief. This business case was initially got rejected by PIM when we first presented it to the panel for valid reasons, of course, that the scope of the work is too much for an ESRP project. However, I and my colleague took the risk and said, we will do it even if we don't succeed, and we will take the responsibility. I was even prepared to risk my merit pass. Eventually, we scored A+ for the project, and we both consider that as the biggest learning outcome of our MBA at PIM. As Theodore Roosevelt once said, believe you can, and you are halfway there. So Finally, this entrepreneurship research project allowed us to improve ourselves. And we like to thank everyone for giving us such a great opportunity. And I want to specially thank Dr. Travis for being our mentor and supporting us throughout, and for his encouraging words to stick with the ESRP project against all odds. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Varuna Suranjit. Our next presenter is S.R. Gamhevage. The focus of the project, the research project, is reducing the delay in the budget control reporting process at XYZ company. For confidentiality purposes, the company name did not be mentioned, but the focus is on reducing the delays in the budget controlling reporting process at the selected organization. Mr. S.R. Gamhevage.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Randika, and this is a brief presentation of the skills project which I have done last year for my MBA program. And for the confidentiality purpose, yes, I have withheld the name of the company, but the content of the presentation is exact same, the real things I have included. During my presentation, I'll briefly take you through these areas during my presentation. And as an introduction to the company, this is a startup company. This started in 2019 with 92 software engineers, but this is the fourth year, 2022. By now, we have exceeding 1,300 executives over 3 global locations. And over the past 4 years, we have grown so fast, and quite now we are a mid-scale business in Asia. And our main purpose is serving the group. We are belonging to a telco group, and we serve the group as an IT hub within the group itself, which is 100% owned by the company, owned by the group. And by the time we did this project, it was 2021, where a lot of process weaknesses were there, a lot of initiatives had to be done, and it was in the early growth stages in the company. So there were a lot of areas to fix. And this is one of the areas we fixed in last year. The project problem in my report was the continuous delays we had in our internal budget control reporting process. It was one of the internal reporting processes which was critical and which was demanded by stakeholders, where we used to share customized budget versus actual reports with the internal stakeholders about their performance in their respective areas. And this is especially focusing the financial budget, where the financial budget was compared with the financial performance of the company. In terms of expectation, we had a expectation set that we need to share these reports within 6 working days with the stakeholders. That was determined based on a lot of internal factors, based on the other timelines we have to comply, other group reporting we have to do, other compliance work we have to do. But in reality, it was taking average 8 working days during the past observed months. And that was actually causing the team a lot of trouble, because with the limited staff count we have a target in the company that we have to have the direct staff and the staff who are in the administrative section, there's a ratio we need to maintain as a KPI for the group. So with the limited staff, we have to achieve a lot of timelines, a lot of reporting as the finance team. So this was causing a lot of delays in other work, and we wanted to solve that as a team together. So with that, we formed a project team. We gathered as a team for the first time, actually, to in detail analyze the problem, why these delays are happening every time, every month, why these delays are happening, causing us such a pain. And so far, we did not have such a detailed analysis with the team. It was always like we discuss, but we always stop within like first level or second level of the reason, but we never go down to the very basic root cause. But in this analysis with the PM guidance, using Ishikawa diagram, we went to the root cause, and we found 11 root causes causing the overall delay of the process. And then we search internet, we search literature, we discuss each other, we had brainstorming sessions, how these delays can be reduced, how these root causes can be addressed. And this framework was created after the literature review. Just I have kept it here. And before proceeding with the implementations, we wanted this gap to be breached. We wanted the process to be completed within 6 working days because that was the expectation of the stakeholders, expectation of the finance team, as well as the company itself. And thereby we set 6 sub-objectives relating to the main objective, so that once the 6 sub-objectives were reached, the overall objective can be achieved by the business. So with that, we developed 11 sub-solutions addressing each root cause. We had 11 root causes causing the main delay, and they were implemented. Starting with the first one, the budget file. This was the initial days of the company, and the budget was just in words. The financial budget was in words, and we lacked a unique field to match the budget with the actual financial performance coming from the system. So what happened was the team was manually matching these 2 files, where we lacked a unique reference to link these 2 files using equations or some other mechanism, so that the manual effort can be reduced. But in the absence of the unique field, we were spending a lot of time in matching these 2 files manually. So as the first step, we coded the entire financial budget for the first time in the company. And now, of course, we are using these codes across the company. And as a control mechanism, we, in order to get the actual financial performance, also with the same codes from the system, we adopted the same in the ERP system. And here we had a field inserted in the financial module, so that all the entries coming from the system are now tagged with the budget code, so that we can use equations and reduce a lot of manual work we were doing previously manually. And then we had another problem where a lot of time taken to take the detailed purchase information from the procurement team for the finance team to do this analysis. That was the reason, because we had the system, we had the ERP system purchase, and we had the annual maintenance contracts, everything available, but the configuration was not done by the team, and they were rather using an Excel sheet to manually maintain details. So we discussed as a team with the procurement team, and then we used the ERP facility, configured that, and wanted the team to use the system to raise the POs from the system itself. And with that, we could get the information from the system itself. So we actually eliminated a dual work that the team was doing, where the manual PO was issued and the same details was fed into an Excel manual sheet. So with these initiatives, we could breach that gap and reduce the workload of that company, overall company itself, to a great extent. And then for the data collection, after the data was rearranged, where you can compare with the actual and the financial budget, once the data is rearranged, we had to collate the data, because the data was arranged by different team members, and there was a requirement to collate these to one consolidated file, where it was also done manually by the team. But then we come up with this a tool which was again available within the business, which is Microsoft Power BI, which is quite widely used in the business world, maybe a little less in Sri Lanka, but widely used in the overseas, and quite it's a over-the-counter software which can be brought with the Microsoft licenses. So with that, we developed a BI model so that the collation can be done automatically without doing manual efforts. And then we created a financial model using Excel, where the collated data can be fed into the financial model, and the financial model does the next level calculation, those variances, the different flavors of the reports we can share with the stakeholders, which there was no discipline previously with the company. We were using ad hoc reports, whereas now we created a financial data model, which was again consolidated as a reporting package later. So where we do all the calculation just once, reducing all the repeating work we were doing previously, where we were making customized reports for different stakeholders, repeatedly doing the same activities again and again. But with this initiative, it was just one-time effort. We consolidated all the reporting, all the budgets, combined them with different data fields, and then made like one consolidated, one budget file, one actual entries model, so that all the calculations can be done within like just seconds once the data is fed properly. Then after that, we had a control weakness with the system, that we didn't really do any mid-month review of the actual entries. We just always waited until the end of the month to review the entries, to check any errors are there. It was just lacking discipline on that area. And that was happened because we did not have much time, I would say, rather not in, and this was quite a boring, I would say, a quite time consuming activity as well. So none of the team members performed a mid-month review, but then we discussed that this cannot be taken forward. We have to do a mid-month review. We have to have the discipline in the company, because as we grow, because we started with only 90 people, but now we have exceeding 1,300 people and 3 locations, 3 subsidiaries to manage. Just the same team we had in 2019, not a single person has been increased, though the company's scale has grown like multiple times. It's the same team. So we were really struggling and we wanted that to happen. We decided that we cannot take it further, and we will do the mid-month review as a must procedure. And to help that, we actually developed a dashboard that we cannot do it with Excel sheets anymore, or manual work gliding through each and every entry or each and every section. Rather, we developed a dashboard using the Power BI model itself, using the visual pane of the Power BI, where all the outliers, all the variances, all the calculations we can see. And when we glance through the Power BI model, it just all the variances we can see, all the outliers, the variances, it's just very interesting. So, and it is indeed a business intelligence software which can be purchased at a very low cost. In our business, we had the license already. So with this tool, like a business can really drill down to the lowest level of the transaction. We can find out which division, which date, which time, who posted this entry, who did this, and what is the root cause behind this. All those details can be drilled down once the model is built perfectly. So this tool we are using now for our further analysis as well. Then we changed the PO format in our business to capture some of the essential details which were not captured before. And on the PO itself also, we incorporate the budget codes. We made as a mandatory data field in the PO itself, so that that control is available, and the data flow from the purchase order step to the final step of the report sharing, the entire flow is now linked into codes. With that, those were the 11 solutions we have implemented in the business. The good thing about the solutions is that these all were sourced in-house. All the resources were available within the business. It's just the business needed somebody to lead the project. All these were soft tools and soft skills required for the solution. It's just that we wanted some commitment from the team, some lead from the team, so that we can do it within the company itself in-house. And at the end of December 2021, which was the target timeline, we achieved the objective. We could deliver the reports within 6 working days. And in my opinion, the best outcome we took as a team is the reduced workload of our team. It just we were spending a lot of time, unnecessarily wasted time, actually, I would say, on these repeating manual work. But with these smart initiatives, we actually reduced the workload drastically. It was a big saving for the team itself. Apart from that, for the company now, the data can be drilled down, as well as I mentioned that from the data model, we can drill down to the lowest level, and it can go like a hierarchy. There's a diagram in the Power BI tool itself where data can be drilled down easily. So with that, I have briefly explained the outcomes as well here. In terms of cost, we only had to purchase 1 additional license for the ERP for the procurement team to be used. All the rest of the things we sourced in-house from the company itself. Not a rupee spent from the company to deliver this project, but the benefits were there. There are a couple of benefits. Actual savings, because of the time we had, we actually compromised doing some further analysis, because we spent a lot of time in this reporting process, where we actually compromised some data processing as the finance team due to some limitations we had. So that we could save with the time saving, as well as I have mentioned here, the illustrative value of the time saved of the company, of the finance team indeed, which was, in my opinion, just the frank opinion, the best thing happened to us as the team. And finally, I made some recommendations as well as some improvements in my project report at the end, because a process, in my opinion, should never get expired, should always get updated and serve the information requirement of this is indeed an information sharing process. In my opinion, a process should always deliver what the stakeholder needs, and if it is not delivering what the stakeholder needs, it doesn't make a purpose. And we should never let a process go static. It just always should be modified, improved, and always should review for the improvements. With that, I will complete my presentation, and I would thank PM for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. S.R. Gamhevage. Next, the presentation is from GAA Rukshan, and the focus of this research presentation is receiving foreign nationalities for ship repairing projects during pandemic. Receiving foreign nationalities for ship repairing projects during the pandemic. Mr. GAA Rukshan.
Very good evening to distinguished audience, and management field research project is an opportunity given to us to practice, to apply what we learned during our MBA program. So I used that opportunity to do something better, to solve a complicated problem my company was facing at that time. So though my project is discussing about the pandemic, this outcomes and the findings of this project is well applicable to any situation where the foreign nationalities are prevented coming to Sri Lanka, such as natural disasters, terrorist attacks, or war situations, civil riots. So any problem, we can apply the solution discussed in this project. So these are the contents. I'm going through these contents in my project, and I'm working for Colombo Dockyard, strategically located engineering firm in the region. And basically we are into 4 main sectors: ship repairing, shipbuilding, offshore engineering, and heavy engineering. So you can see what are the complicated ship repairing projects we are handling. And shipbuilding, we are always targeting the niche segments in shipbuilding. And in heavy engineering and offshore engineering, we are having a huge diversified fields to support. So we are catering all these projects with 3,000 workforce, and all these jobs are highly labor intensive jobs. So about the problem, I'm talking about ship repairing sector, because in ship repairing sector, we have to get involved a lot of foreign stakeholders. When I say foreign stakeholders, those are owner representatives, specialized service engineers, and the surveyors. So all these people has to come to the shipyard to commence a proper job. But in year 2020, we know with the pandemic, we had a huge problem. We could bring only 30 number of foreign nationalities during that year, where in an average, we are bringing 240. That means it is an 88% drop of foreign nationalities. And on top of that, this ship crew in the ship, they also didn't want to have the foreign nationalities on board. So what they are doing is simply they are canceling the complicated jobs on board. And also the owners, that companies who are deputing the specialists, they also didn't want to send their specialists to Sri Lanka because of the negative perception they are having on third world country. So, but a shipyard, as a shipyard, we cannot afford this situation, because the specialists are coming for the complicated jobs. Complicated jobs means good margins, good profits, where we cannot just forego. So that is the reason we are forced to find the solution for this issue. So the gap is very clear. There is an 88% drop of the foreign nationalities, and the significance is we are earning less than half of our target for ship repairing. That means we are hardly reaching to 20 million, where our annual target is 40 million. So with the experience and with the knowledge we are having, we can jump into the conclusions. Okay, this is the problem we are having. So we can tell, okay, pandemic is the main issue, main root cause, but that is not how PIM taught us. So PIM always encouraged us to see in the problem, find the root causes in more scientific manner. So I applied this logical deduction method, Ishikawa diagram, to find the exact root causes of the problem. And also I referred empirical theories, and unfortunately this is at the beginning of year 2020, not much literature is found about COVID, but I managed to get some other sources and get the solutions for the problem. And whole my study goes in 3 components: employee management, foreigners management, and ship crew management. And the main objective of this project is to receive 60% of the normal foreign stakeholders, 60%, not 100%, because we have to understand this is a pandemic situation, nothing will go as normal. So 60% would be suffice for the moment. While forming the team, you can see I put the top management in top, obviously, because during the pandemic, we have to deal with many ministries, many secretaries to the ministries, head of forces, head of health sectors, and the chief of the COVID task forces. So many big shots are there. So definitely to deal with them, we have to get the involvement of our top management. And the project cost is just 24 million rupees. You may say it is 24 million. Wow. But the problem we are facing is the company was in a situation whether to go or no go situation. So this 24 million is peanuts compared to the problem. And we have invested on this employee management, foreigner management, ship and crew management. Which component do you think the cost the most? You must think it is the foreigner management. No, it is the employee management, because in Colombo Dockyard, we have very strong trade unions. So we have to trade off that one. For foreigner management, we spend only 9% of the budget, but to manage the employees, to manage the trade unions, we invested 80% of this budget. But that is how the business moves. And the first problem, employee management, how we manage this problem. So these are the solutions we have done, because we understood that is a situation. Every public media was telling Sri Lanka is an island. So unless there is a breakout from the foreigners, you are safe. That is the mindset is prepared in Sri Lanka. So as a company, we are forcing some of our employees, you go and work with the foreigners. So there is a big conflict. So to overcome that conflict, definitely we have to have the counseling. And this counseling, we chose some officials from our own company because of two reasons. First thing, we didn't know when this COVID is over. So this would be a repeating process. And the secondly, these counselors should earn the trust of the people, because this is a matter of living and dying. So, and also we wanted to have some skeleton workforce parked in the office, because the time to time the pandemic had some peaks. So whenever there is a peak, whenever there is a hike, the country goes for a complete shutdown. But in ship repairing, once we start the process, there is no going back. There is no stoppage. The work has to continue. So for that, we wanted to park 200 employees and 40 executives in the shipyard. Plus, whenever the people working with the foreign employees, there is a risk. So we cannot allow them to daily transport to their home, because that will spread. So there is a social responsibility as well as the business orientation. So to manage this one, we have discussed with the authorities. So process flow diagram found to be the most attractive way of communication. Actually, initially we made this one to understand the process for ourselves, but finally we found we have to discuss with the politicians and trade unions and medical officials, health officials, security people, engineers. So many professions are coming together. So process flow diagram was the best communication tool we ever founded. And number two, foreigners management. So I'm taking you to the May 2020. So that is the time the country was completely shut down. All the airports are closed. So no foreigners, even people see a foreigner, they can run away very easily. So in this situation, we have had some processes. We discussed this one with the high authorities, Civil Aviation Authority and Ministry of Health. So many involvements were there. And we had rounds of discussions, and we had an SOP to receive the foreigners, to issue the visa, to issue the tickets. So these things. And then the question came, okay, you will receive the foreigner, but how to manage? Because we didn't agree to go for a 14-day quarantine. We wanted the foreigner to work on board during that 14-day also. So that is the time we got the approval to operate a quarantine center by ourselves with the biobubble concept. So this is, I'm talking about May 2020. That is the time nobody heard about this biobubble concept. Even we also didn't hear, we also don't know. That is why we used safe house. We call that quarantine center safe house. So Colombo Dockyard, I can proudly say Colombo Dockyard is the very first entity practicing the biobubble concept during this pandemic. And this is our bungalow. We have converted our holiday bungalow into a quarantine center. And there is another case. Now, everything is set up, foreigner is coming, he can work in the shipyard. But what if there is a positive case. So for that also we have to find the answer. So here we are talking about 7 scenarios. 7 scenarios. So all the positive cases, in any positive cases, we have an SOP. So that way we have convinced the local authorities, and also we had some backup plans. We have agreements with the hospitals and treatment centers. And we introduced the master guideline. Everything is A to Z, everything is mentioned here, including tea time. How to behave in the tea time also mentioned here. And after doing all these exercises, now it is the time to call the foreign nationalities, because that is our main purpose. So we used all our network to educate the market. Colombo dockyard is ready to work during the pandemic. So don't worry, come, we are ensuring the safe handling. So these are some of the approaches, and even we made some video clips to circulate around. Item number 3, ship crew management. This is also the same scenario, because the local authorities didn't want to have the ship crew on board. They were not allowed to land on the Sri Lankan land. So we had to get the approval for the SOP we prepared. That is fine. After getting the approval, the funny thing happened, because the ship crew anyway, they didn't want to come out of the ship, because they were scared they will get the COVID infection from Sri Lanka. So they didn't want to come. Therefore, we had to ensure them, okay, don't worry, you stay in the ship. We will take care of the other affairs on behalf of them. But the foreign specialists, they have to go on board to do the work. So when they are going on board, the ship crew were running away. So simply what we have to do, we had some RFID bands to them, and we had some antennas to track where the foreign nationalities. That's how we were managing. And also, sorry. And then these remote operating inspection and communication tools. So though these are used for some sports and those activities, we use them for the purpose of doing business. So we allowed these items to wear and do the job over there. So all the ship crew, they were given some extra comfort, because they could sit back and relax in their cabins, and they could monitor all the works happening on board as well as in the workshops. And also the traditional layup. Normally in ship repairing business, we are dealing with heavy components, huge components. So normally what we are doing is we take all the tools, all the resources, go on board and do the job there. But as per the ship crew's concern, we had to limit the number of people coming on board. So instead of going on board and doing the job, we had to take the heavy material, heavy components to an open area for extra precautions and do the repairs. After that, limited people will go on board and fit it in place. So this is how we were managing. And in summary, we manage employees by counseling and giving some accommodation. And foreigners, we manage with some SOPs and with the safe house operation. Now we can call it biobubble concept. And we had made the awareness in the market. And for the ship crew, we have introduced some tracking mechanism, and we changed the layout. So those are the solutions we provided. And the outcomes were very interesting, because we had a stable ship repair revenue as planned. And also we earned the confidence from our employees. So attendance were never dropped, and we managed to secure the high margin jobs from the ships also. Benefit cost analysis. This is the most interesting part to my top management, because initially we were targeting to earn 30 million US dollars from ship repairing, because in 2020 we earned only 20 million but sorry, but after implementing this system, we earned $44 million in ship repairing. I will tell the reason. The secret is indirect benefits, because this is the time Singapore was completely shut down. China, anyway, still it is shut down, and the Middle East also going in a very safe mode. But in Colombo, we are aggressively bringing the people, and we are working, and the word of mouth also spreading very fast. So we managed to secure some client bases, some preferred clients to other competitors to come to us. So these clients, now what happened is, now the relationship is so strong, they don't want to go to our competitors, and they are repeatedly coming to us. This is the reason, even though we targeted 30 million US dollars, now in 2021, we earned 44 million. And in this year also, I cannot disclose as per my position, but this year also would be a very nice year for ship repairing at Colombo Dockyard because of this. Because this situation, this COVID situation, we managed to turn into a blessing. So we have a permanent employee base at the moment. And some recommendations I have given. So this is what we have earned. In 2020, we earned only $55,000 per day, where we are hardly meeting our requirements. But now we are exceeding $120,000 per day. So this is the success story in Colombo Dockyard, thanks to PIM, because PIM taught us to have a different viewpoint of the problem, different way of thinking, different way of looking at the problems. And also PIM itself has fought very successfully in the COVID situation. That is the reason we were graduated in time. Thank you so much. And I'm wishing you all the best. Thank you. Special thanks for the organizing committee to having me here. And I'm very honored to have the opportunity I have to present my case. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. G.A.A. Rukshan. Our final presenter for this evening is Ms. A.W. Henadirage, and her research is titled as Integrated Thinking of the CEO, Transformation and Improved Systematic Performance, a Case in Sri Lanka. Integrated Thinking of the CEO, Transformation and Improved Systematic Performance, a Case in Sri Lanka, Ms. A.W. Henadirage.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Amali Henadirage, and my thesis topic is Integrated Thinking of the CEO, Transformation and Improved Systematic Performance Case in Sri Lanka. So this is the outline of my presentation. And first of all, let's be clear on two concepts. Integrated thinking means having a holistic understanding about your organization, and transformation means making changes to both systems and culture of your organization. So what was the research problem? We all are experiencing change, including organizations, and the ability to manage change is a core competence. So according to PwC, out of 7 managers out of 10 have experienced handling a crisis during the period of 2015 to 2019. And what about Sri Lanka? So based on the current situation in Sri Lanka, it's really challenging for all the organizations to not to grow, but to survive. So Sri Lanka was ranked low on key business environmental indicators in 22. So in one hand, the changes and challenges which are faced by the organizations are increased. And on the other hand, the organizational change efforts failure rate is higher, which is like 70%. So suppose your organization is in a really challenging situation and you have to make a transformational change in order to get rid of that situation. So how you will be successful in that attempt? We will be discussing about that. So these are my research questions. How does the integrated thinking of the CEO will drive a transformation in an organization? And how does transformation of an organization results improved systematic performance? And also how the upper echelon characteristics of the top management team will moderate the relationship between the integrated thinking of the CEO and the transformation. So this is the purpose, and these are the objectives of my research. And then you all can see the concept indicator model, which directed me for my research. And methodology, I used a qualitative research approach using 3 real cases in Sri Lanka. So organizations does not merely go through transformations. There should be a driving force. So all these 3 companies which I have selected have experienced such driving force. Suppose your organization, one of the factories was destroyed by a flood. So yes, that's a driving force. So let's look at the first organization. Hale Fiber PLC was #1 company in Sri Lankan fabric industry, but after some time, it had so many unresolved conflicts with several key stakeholders. But I'm not going to talk about those issues in details, because what's more important is where they are standing today and how they transformed into that position. So they are the largest synthetic fabric manufacturer in Sri Lanka currently, and they are having a lot of global customers in their portfolio. So y'all can see, I have studied several aspects to understand the integrated thinking of the CEO. So if I look at the integrated thinking of this company, this CEO was emphasized on being honest, fair play, discipline, effective communication, walking the talk, and being agile with regards to his philosophy. And also he mentioned that he's really committed to sustainability, because not only by words, but by practice, because they were having the largest single rooftop solar power panel in their company, and recycling water. Y'all can see paddy fields, vegetable cultivations, bird sanctuaries, and also these wetland parks. Surprising, right? So how did they make that transformation? Now, with regards to the transformation, if you all can remember, I mentioned that they had several unresolved conflicts with several key stakeholders like employees, trade unions, villagers, even religious institutes, lower level politicians. So as an example, the trade unions were really powerful. Employees were against the company. So how did they obtain that support from the employees? They had so many formal and informal meetings with the employees, explained them that the organizational survival is important for the survival of the employees, and they had so many mechanisms or processes to obtain the suggestions from the employees to obtain their trust. And also CEO always mentioned that from the beginning, he tried to set examples for others, because then others do not have any other options other than following him. And also he tried to create a politics less friendly environment. And currently, if we consider that organization, there is less than 1% of labor turnover, which is really rare in textile industry. And also non-trade union employees percentage has decreased from 90% to 30 to 40%. With regards to the changes in systems, now, do you all believe that this transformational process in the culture took a period of 2 to 3 years only to change the culture? So y'all can understand how complex it's to change a culture. Now, after this cultural change, when they look at the systems, now operations were really weak. So what they did, they hired fresh graduates from a particular university, and they built a separate innovative departments and allow those people to work independently, freely, know any key performance indicators likewise. So that benefited them immensely. That those things created a lot of innovations, as well as they created a separate department for sustainability and compliance as well. Also, the CEO was always mentioning about having proper factories, offices, workstations, even vehicles, kitchens, washrooms of the employees. So those things looks like really little things, but those things matters when we are working. So moving on to the next organization, Dunk Goods PLC. This was a world-renowned rubber glove manufacturer, but it had a triggering event where they had unfavorable local and international media attention, and they were affected from two aspects. They had to stop their business activities, and also they had to honor some commitments after this triggering event. So where they are standing today, they own 5% of the global market, and also they are serving over 70 countries with 350 goods. And also they are having 14 international and local patents. So how did they make that transformation? First of all, let's look at the integrated thinking of that CEO. He emphasized on being honest, effective communication, walking the talk, and being agile, and also like being sustainable, because in his words, sustainability is the future. And he mentioned that they are heavily investing on people, technology, and systems. So with regards to the transformation, first of all, they look at the change of the system. So transforming the systems, because immediately after that particular triggering event, they had to abandon a plant with a 40% of capacity, and they had to start a new factory in an industrial zone. And with that, they wanted to expand their capacity to introduce new machinery. They did not want to go with the previous situation, and also they invested in a subsystem. What they mentioned about the changes in the culture or transformation of the culture is that they had the loyalty of the employees, and therefore they did not require to do much changes to the culture. But not to mention that after this incident, they became a really innovative cultured organization. And with regards to this SAP implementation, they had to provide awareness and some to do some training sessions, because employees are usually fear of these technical advancements. Okay, moving to the third organization, Hale-Bopp Private Limited. This was a relatively new company, and they had several threats to their survival, including not having forecasted orders and high cost. So currently, they are really doing well financially, and they are famous for their superior products. So with regards to the integrated thinking of that particular CEO, he mentioned about being honest, the importance of effective communication and being agile, and also the integration of the departments and being sustainable. So with regards to their transformational process, they focused on changing the systems and culture parallelly. Because this was a relatively new company, therefore they had to identify all these loss-making points, and they had to introduce new machinery and also use some of the lean manufacturing techniques. With regards to the cultural aspects, they had to create that hope or the motive in employees, because they were hopeless. And also they did a lot of brainstorming sessions in order to obtain suggestions from the employees. Okay, y'all can see a case comparison. Here, what I want to emphasize, all these three CEOs mentioned about some common traits like being honest, effective communication, walking the talk, being agile, and also they emphasize on breaking down the silo mentality between departments and importance of working as one, and also sustainability. Now, with regards to transformation, y'all can understand these three companies use three different approaches for their transformation. The first one focused on changing the culture, then system. The second company, they focused on changing mainly the systems. The third company changed both systems and the culture parallelly. So with regards to improved systematic performance after this transformation, they all had a really impressive performance. You all can see some of the facts and figures. And with regards to upper echelon characteristics, now your CEO can be very talented, very innovative, but he can't do this without the support of top management. So top managers was mentioned about these traits like having a common sense, being practical, experience in the same industry and organization, experience, passion, postgraduate education. Those traits help them in this transformational process. So these are my theoretical implications. So the proposed framework of my study can be used as a guide for CEOs and top management members. So managerial implications, the most important thing. Integrated thinking begins with the CEO and then should be cascaded down through other managers. And when more integrated thinking is embedded in the philosophy of the CEO, that will be manifested in all other employees because they are following the CEO. And then greater the integrated thinking of the CEO, greater the vision of him, greater the sustainability aspects. And if I talk about the transformation, the CEO drives the transformation with the support of the top management. So in conclusion, y'all can see change is a regular feature, and there is no such one size fits all approach for change. CEO drives the transformation through his integrated thinking. In transformation, the changes to systems and culture is important, and the CEO drives the transformation with the help of the top management. So before concluding my presentation, I want to mention about this. I could interview 9 great personalities from these organizations, and I want to conclude my presentation with 3 my favorite quotes from these CEOs. The CEO from the third organization mentioned that the environment is dynamic. Unless you adjust yourself to this dynamic environment, you won't be succeeding. The CEO of the second company mentioned that if you want to win a customer or a brand, you have to deliver what they want. Without doing that, even if you say that we are doing fine, we are back to normal, they won't believe that. The CEO of the first company mentioned that the head discipline is really important. If the head is indisciplined, it can be your family, it can be your business, it can be your country. If the head starts robbing, the rest of the staff will be robbing. Really applicable to Sri Lanka. So thank you very much for being my audience for tonight. Thank you, Dr. Travis Pereira, for being my research supervisor. Thank you, PIM, for giving me this opportunity, and it's my privilege to present in front of you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. A.W. Henadirage. When the head starts robbing, everyone else starts robbing. Sounds a very familiar story, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, now it is time for the panel discussion. And as mentioned earlier, I would like to invite the panelists to kindly take the stage. We have Ms. Mahesha Amarasuriya, Ms. Anjana Vijay Singha, Mr. Asangarana Singha, and Ms. Shiranti Tevara Peruma. And the forum will be moderated by Professor Ajanta Dharmasiri. Ladies and gentlemen, please take the stage. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Tarandu. I think we have come to the last item of the agenda. So may I first of all warmly welcome the panelists. So we have, I think the gender balance is very, very much evident in the panel, and I'm very much delighted as a co-chair of the PIMARC 2022 to have this wonderful set of events right throughout the day and today, and now it's the last item. And I was so happy to see the presentations by the 4 learning partners, really showing the rich harvest of all the rigor that they've gone through. And they say the roots of the education is bitter, but the real harvest is really sweet. The fruits are really sweet. So we saw the sweet fruits of the real rigor and the relevance that they mentioned. And then the whole purpose is to link the learning to the reality. In fact, it nicely resonates with our overarching theme, reflecting reality through research. So I will not take much time because my life is much relieved as a moderator. So for me, it's asking questions and passing your questions to them, and they will have to answer. So to begin with, I think we will have a couple of rounds. In the round 1, I would ask each panelist to reflect on the 4 presentations made by them. To summarize, we had StridePal, a wonderful software for performance management. And then we had the budgeting, reporting, the delays to be mitigated, minimized by introducing a solution in XYZ company. And then we had the dockyard, bringing the foreigners during COVID, and then the way they handle it. And of course, we had the integrated reporting of the CEO. So may I invite the panelists to give you a comment? And they say, money is not everything because we have MasterCard. So we'll start with Mahesh.
Thank you very much. So let me go in the order of the presentations. So first of all, I must say congratulations to all four presenters who did a fantastic job here. 4 different types of presentations and very thought-provoking, a lot of information, a lot of detailed study has been done. And therefore, congratulations to the presenters and of course their respective supervisors as well for guiding and taking them to this level. So commenting on the first presentation on the IT system performance management system for IT companies. So I think what I noticed there was that the understanding of a great importance of the subject. That means people management. People play the most important role in an organization. It goes deep into the roots of connection between performance management to employee retention, resulting in shareholder value creation. So understanding of that concept and going into the root of it where it is people, I think is something very important that you have done very well. And identifying that unique value proposition which you offer in terms of performance management. And of course, the theory of complementing and not competing is again something that which resonates well with a lot of our beliefs as well, because it is all about growing the pie so that everybody gets a bigger share. And also fantastic that the company has already made profits. So in terms of what I saw on the first presentation, these are my positive and commendable notes. So on the second presentation, which is on budget control, again, a very important area, because for an organization or for any business, knowing where you stand in terms of the business, in terms of last month's performance, how does it reflect against what you've set yourselves as targets is immensely important. So knowing that figure as fast as possible gives time to correct, rectify, and move forward in the next month if anything has gone wrong or fallen behind in the previous month. So therefore, this identification of this issue, I think, is one critical area. And MIS, so giving the dashboards, giving the numbers, giving to the key stakeholders the performance, again, very critically done and very well presented how the dashboards were developed, and very importantly, using in-house tools and not spending, not incurring huge costs on this, but using in-house tools and developing this. So I think those are my notes on the second presentation on how successfully it has been done. And the third one on Colombo Dockyard, I think fantastic presentation. It's really gone into amazing in-depth and meticulously studied and very detailed on how you managed to survive during a very critical time of the country, because as it was said, this is about the survival. The company or the people who manage to change, adapt, and be agile and move forward were the winners. So that was clearly shown in your presentation, where you showed each element, the staff, the foreigners, the crew, how each of these categories were managed, and going into 7 scenarios, every little detail was taken into account. And I think before, I mean, even the whole country may not have thought of some of the concepts that you thought as back as March or April 2020, when in other countries, people were really struggling how to even stay alive, leave alone doing business. So I think congratulations, and that was a very wonderful, fantastic presentation. And then we come to the final one, which is a very interesting case study of studying CEOs. And I think you've gone into a lot of detail by going and interviewing so many people, going into the in-depth of the problems each company had, and how each CEO used his or her strengths, the corporate management, the top key players' strengths to revive the companies and come back from that challenging situations. So there I saw the deep analysis you've gone into, and also because it's a very qualitative study, so it required a deeper level of analysis which you've gone into by understanding each CEO's response, each CEO's management style, leadership style, and drawing parallels to the elements that transpired in every scenario, so that you've taken out those elements and shown, okay, these are the key characteristics or the leadership styles that came out in the transformational leadership that you displayed. So congratulations on that as well.
Thank you, Mahesha, for giving very comprehensive feedback on each of those. Perhaps you might not need to do that. You can pick some of the salient points from any one of them, but if you still prefer to give feedback on all four, still possible. In fact, talking about Anjana, they talk about SAP. Some say sad after purchase and some say satisfied after purchase. I don't know what category would be more. So they are the local real service providers for SAP. Anjana, from your perspective, how would you look at the knowledge translating into action?
Thank you, Professor. I hope I'm audible. First of all, good evening, everyone, and congratulations to all of y'all. All four presentations were fantastic. We enjoyed every one of that. We learned different things, different angles out of that. Certain findings, actually, I was amazed by the depth you have gone into. So let me start with the first one. Yes, I also agree because we also do HRIS solution. So I think you have to study the HRIS side if you want to be successful in whatever you do. So when it comes to IT side, I personally believe it should be hardworking, and more than that, it should be, thank you. It should be smart working. So ERRC grid, I like it. And I suggest to go with HRIS criteria into detail and see how you can do the performance analysis, not just financials, but the other areas like to make the employees happy, what need to be done, things like that. So I like that area. Then the since you are into development, IT, you know how challenging it is to make a customer happy. Just now, Professor also mentioned how challenging it is by explaining SAP, though we call it systems, applications, and processes. So I suggest look for the user experience also. I'm sure you are already considering that, have some indicated for that and bring value additions in that area and do service as post implementation of the delivered projects to understand how happy the customers are in terms of the project delivery, that is the timelines and the quality as well as the user experience. So because all three matters when it comes to project deliveries. Then the you have to accommodate the latest challenges as well. As you all know, IT industry is facing a lot of challenges due to the migrations, because IT is the most popular field in the other business sectors in the other countries where you can easily migrate. So we are challenging that challenge as well as a company. So see how you can address those areas as well, because I'm sure in time to come, you might lose certain very good employees in your organization. Then look for a SaaS module also, software as a service. All this time, maybe you are delivering completed projects. So instead, look for recurring incomes where you can every year you can earn something, because you have mentioned about AMC also in your paper, which is a very good thinking, because most of the companies who survived during the pandemic is mainly because of the maintenance income. It not just IT, any other industry. If you look for that recurring income, I'm sure the companies can survive. So the second one that related to mainly budgets, one of my favorite areas, because I'm also having a finance background. So in that area, what I say is budgets is all about real-time monitoring, not just the end of the month after 6 days or 8 days. But I have seen is most effective monitoring method would be real-time. So see how you can do the real-time monitoring and see how you can incorporate those parameters into your project. And do some revisions to your thinking. So I suggest that. And also before the certain transactions, you can do budget controls as well. Like for example, you mentioned about purchase order. So though it's not a financially effective transaction, you can bring PO also to the budget controls. There are ways of doing that. Even for the PR to that matter, purchase request, you can bring that into the control aspect as well. And bring a three-way concept, three-way matching concept in the procurement side. That is purchase order, GRN and the supply invoice. That way you can have the control aspect also, since you mentioned about that. Then the SOPs, procedures, since you have implemented this budget procedure in the organization, document the procedures and SOPs of that as well, and make revisions like every quarter, every 6 months or annually to make it better. Then only you will have better outcomes out of that. Then information is not just about data. Information need to be used for the planning and decision making as well. So bring that aspect also into the system, since you mentioned about dashboards and things like that. First presenter also mentioned that. Bring the dashboard aspect into that and alerts, things like that on the real term, so that you can get better returns from your project. Third one, honestly, personally, I was amazed by your presentation. I really liked it. It's talked about more practical side and real ground level business scenarios. I personally comment that even our country president should talk about these things. That's what I believe. So because that should be the thinking pattern of any company, any country, any leader. So it's a practical approach, and thought process was really good and practical. And you have thought about every aspect of that, which is really good. And especially being in a challenging workplace, as you correctly mentioned, unions, political and other areas. So it's really good. And you have brought the technology into the project, RFID, because that is one of the latest technologies, which is still new to Sri Lanka, I would say. And few suggestions from my side. Make some videos of your case study and make it public, maybe social media. And I'm sure everyone, especially government places, government institutes will be, amazed by looking at this. Use this to promote our country as well, where I'm sure you can attract more business. And I suggest you analyze your pipeline increase also. See what is the percentage of an increase over the years, over the period after implementing this project, and look for new revenue avenues as well. Since you have already covered one, look for new revenue avenues as well. Okay, the fourth one, again, this speaks about CEO, so it is very much applicable to me as well. So my suggestion is, if you are analyzing a company or organization or ministry, anything to that matter, first create the persona of that organization. Think the organization as a person. Give a name. Okay. Then give an age. Let's say if PIM, for example, how old is he? If you think whether it's a girl or a boy, first of all, gent or a female, give a name then. Give an age also, not just a number of years that has been in the business, but think of whether it's a matured person or with a young, energetic person. So what sort of person that persona is? Then what are the characteristics of that person? Is he aggressive? Is he forward thinking? Is he innovative? Likewise, create that person. Then you will be able to understand the organization. Then you know the solution. That is the easy way out. As the CEO, I also do that. I have done the persona for my organization. So that's how we evolve every day, because then we see more the organization like a person. Then I'm sure practically you can do a practical approach. And you have to do pre-preparations if you are doing a transformation. Then select the most suitable team, very important, because they are the drivers of your project. Then select the leader, who is the most suitable leader with a positive thinking and who think ahead of the others. Then have a plan with activities, dates, and responsibilities. Then regular meetings, then risk foreseeing, evolving, then final outcome, not just that, revisions of the plan also, whatever the outcome, do evolving and revisions also. So again, I would like to congratulate all of you all, and you have done a fantastic job. I really enjoyed the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjana. In fact, loads of complimentary advice. I'm sure they will be useful for you as well. So, say when you fly in an airline, they say when the oxygen mask drops, if the pressure goes down, where are your oxygen mask first, and then attend to others. So we have the lady lead of the largest oxygen provider in the country. So may I turn to Shivanti to give your comments and your observations, being the PIMA leader as well. And I can see PIMA members in the audience. So as a PIMA leader and as the oxygen provider for the nation, how do you look at them? And I hope they desperately need some oxygen.
Thank you, Professor. And congratulations to all the presenters. Since much was spoken about, I could correlate so much with all that was being said, but I'll keep mine quite short at my observations. For the first presentation on the IT company's performance management system, I think something that I really liked about your presentation was the goal congruence and the 360 feedback. This is so applicable to any company. Now in IT companies, it's even more applicable. Now, as we spoke, it's such a VUCA world from where you started, perhaps coming up down 2 years to now, because we are talking of a brain drain. So what do we do to keep or retain our staff? I can tell you from what we see, it's now boils down to all of this plus the compensation, because at the end of the day, that matters. So I really like the goal congruence, as I said before. It's also very important that everyone in the organization understands what they ought to perform as a day-to-day job, which will align to the company's goals. So that's my feedback to you. I really enjoyed your presentation. It's quite relatable. The next delays in the budget control reports, again, something very close to my heart because I come from a finance background. What I liked about your presentation is the depth of the analysis that you had done. As much as I like the budget control, the steps that you have brought in, I would like to give some trigger thought to you. That is, from today, companies don't stop at their budget. I think, as my fellow panelists also mentioned, it now looks at something called a forecast, which is done something at a monthly level. So now, if you do the budget is a bygone by the time you start your year. So every month you do a forecast. As if that is not enough, some companies go to the extent of doing a latest best estimate at the last 3 or 4, first 2, 3 or days of the month. So it's such a VUCA world, what you plan to monitor and to deliver. So those are my thoughts and what are some of the thoughts that I would like to leave with you. Come to the third presentation, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud to say that Colombo Dockyard is our largest customer. So when he prospers, we prosper. All what he proudly said was done with the gases that we provided. So it is oxygen, argon, and dissolved acetylene that we provide you, and sometimes carbon dioxide as well. All what he mentioned, I have seen in my own eyes. I've been to Colombo Dockyard very recently also, and I saw the shipbuilding, even what is being done today. I saw your safe houses and the COVID protocols, which you mentioned. We did a similar process at our end to ensure that we run the country's heart by providing oxygen to the hospitals as well as industries. And yours I think was the only customer who was industrial that we supported right through. I think I was so emotionally touched by your presentation. I think Mahesha also spoke so much about the depth of analysis, so I will not go into it, but it was a very well done presentation, which I could very well relate to. The last presentation on the change of culture of an organization and the system. So my takeaway is that the culture is the way we do things, isn't it? In simple layman language. And that's something that you mentioned the CEO with the help of the senior management could do. I would also encourage to go a further step down. The senior managers could do or perform only if their respective line managers and those who actually execute buy in that change. And that's when the transformation happens. So those are the initial comments that I would like to leave with.
Thank you, Shivanti. In fact, you all got, I think, plenty of feedback. Now I'll turn to my colleague at last, my MBA colleague, my Unilever colleague, and now my PM faculty colleague, Sasangaran Singh.
Right. So, Professor, I will not go one by one because lot of good things were said, lot of good advice was suggested. Let me pick the four key themes I picked up, and I think it's with my almost 3 decades of industry experience or corporate experience. 4 key themes that you presented. The first one is about performance monitoring. And the second one is about budgetary control. Third is about global business. And the fourth is about transformational leadership. Now, if you really look at our country and our businesses, we are really struggling for all 4 of these. And therefore, all 4 are very opportune in terms of timing. Look at a lot of the companies today. They are really lacking leaders who can do different things or do things differently. I have come from, and as Professor said, we have both worked for a long period in a Fortune 500 company. And with the same kind of people, there are some leaders who come and make a huge transformation in the business. And the transformation lasts even after the leader leaves. So I think that is something that is really lacking in most of our organizations now. The old leadership of people coming and, that shouting and getting things done and commanding people, that kind of leadership is not effective anymore. The leaders I have seen, and I myself had been a CEO, which works is the leader is at the back, and the leader always empowers, influences people, enrolls people, and when there is success, the leader says, oh, it's all because of the people. And when there is failure, the leader says it is my responsibility. And those are the leaders who have got the next level of leadership developed and transformed organizations. So therefore, I think your study is very, very appropriate. Now I lead a Sri Lankan government public sector organization. And in those organizations, what is lacking is exactly this transformational leadership. And your business about bringing dollars to the country, if we all thought like Colombo Dockyard thinks, I think we won't be in this mess today. If you look at Korea Republic, they changed the name of the country and played in the World Cup football. There are 5 brands that account to 70% of their GDP. One brand, which is Samsung, is 20% of that country's GDP, all by developing a global business. They never thought about a business for Korea. From the beginning, they thought about a business for the whole world, and they don't have a foreign currency problem. And as I think Shivanti said, budgetary control, very good start, but organizations cannot have budgets anymore because the world is changing so fast. It is budgets are of no use. I remember when we were working in those companies, Prof, you would remember we would set a budget, we would spend weeks and days to develop this budget, and then like a prayer, we will monitor performance versus budget. But now we find that these budgets become obsolete in a matter of weeks. So estimates, forecasts, latest estimates, some companies say LE's latest estimate. It's become very, very fast changing. So the work that you have done, I think very important. Costs are like fingernails. They have to be chopped. And without you knowing, costs grow and like fingernails. Today, you look at the cost, you look at the expenditure. Tomorrow, you look at it, it has gone up. And what good companies do is that they estimate and forecast, and thereby they save money to invest behind brands, invest behind people, invest behind innovation, because your customer is not willing to pay for costs that you incur. For the customer, that is a waste. And the last one, I think a lot of companies have gone away from this performance monitoring to performance development. And it's all about developing the performance through monitoring, but the monitoring is used as a means of developing people for higher level leadership. So, Prof, I think all four topics are very good, very well presented. And we must thank you for bringing these insights to us. But I think the applicability to the industry today is very different to the time you started your project, because the world is changing very, very fast. 6 months ago or 1 year ago, when you started to what is required today, it's very, very different. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Asanga. I think we have covered the round 1, and then round 3 will be your questions, and then they will be very much be pleased to answer. And again, the virtual participants, either you can use the chat option in texting your question, or you can unmute and ask the question, and then the IT people will direct them to me. And the second round, I would like to go again to Mahesha for a very brief response. Based on your experience and your background, how would you like to see the research linking to your industry challenges?
If I take overall, maybe if I take the first one on the performance. So what I would see there is, now all of us have seen performance. All of us have seen performance management systems. I mean, I think some of the systems that you showed as existing systems where there is this goal setting of half-yearly reviews, goal reviews, and then year-end reviews. So how I would like you to relate this to a more current situation or the current industries is really showing what exactly is different in the system that you have developed. You did mention that it has ongoing evaluation feedback mechanism, but maybe on the screen, just show how exactly that is done. What exactly is different from the kind of systems that we have practically seen in our own organizations. And I again reflect some of the similar thoughts of what others mentioned on budgets. Whether 6 days, you coming from 8 to 6 is great, but it need to come to 0 or 1. Practically, maybe 1, the month finishes, you need to know the performance the very next day, and you need to know a dashboard on an ongoing basis, maybe even daily, weekly at least, or daily is the best. In terms of the Colombo Dockyard, relating it to a current situation, what I felt was, now we've had the pandemic, it was fantastically managed, and we don't know when a next pandemic would come. It may come, it may be in many years down the line, but can this model be tweaked to address other possibilities like civil unrest, protests, which we have experienced, could be a natural disaster, could be tsunami, could be fire. So in such situation, how would this change? How would the model change? Because we will not have the bubble concept. Then we will have to look at safety of the staff. how the safety could be provided. If it is a tsunami, how would that be? If it is a strike or a fire or civil unrest, what would it be? So can this model be tweaked? And then on the fourth one, relating it again to a modern context, we looked, I think the companies you have chosen, the CEOs you've chosen are probably kind of on a similar level. Are these traits there in a SME? Are they the same traits in a micro finance company, micro company, or is it the same in a entrepreneurship? Are those traits going to be the same, or would there be a difference? Is probably something that would matter, because today we are talking a lot about SMEs. SMEs are heart of our country, our economy, and we especially in from where I come from, we're really interested in having inclusivity. We look through digital inclusivity down the line to all levels of the economy. So the how MSMEs, SMEs, how their leadership traits change also would be important.
Thank you. I think here the importance is that as an industry person, how would you look at the relevance of research and how a research can contribute for the betterment of your work and also to solve some problems. So in such a context, Anjana, if I am to turn to you once again, how would you look at the support from a research, perhaps from an academic institution, from an agency, from someone in the industry who has a research bend? So how would you look at the research supporting your day-to-day work?
Okay. It's like this. Research always, I believe, evolves the businesses. When it comes to research, there are two sections. One is the using the past theories, past experience, as well as moderate it with the current situations, and also research should be future thinking as well. So research, when we do a research, ideally if it is practically done, my suggestion is research help the organizations and the community or a country as a whole if you do it with a practical approach. That is, you have to think about, you have to consider the previous experiences, as well as Dr. correctly mentioned that world has changed. Who thought about work from home concept? Just think, even I think most of the companies started work from home. We never thought, right? We never thought about Zoom meetings, Teams meetings. See now, all of a sudden, Zoom has become the top 100, became to the top 100 companies. So that's why we say research should be practical, and it should be forward thinking. With the previous experience as well as next 10 years, 20 years need to be considered, and special areas need to be considered, right? Normal circumstances, what could be the abnormal circumstances that could come up. We have to think those as well. And also when it comes to research in any area, especially we have to accommodate the human resource part into that. That is my suggestion, because nowadays HR matters a lot. When it comes to retaining employees, when it comes to the forward thinking, sustainability of businesses, HR plays a major role. So because of that, research should be coupled with the human resource factor as well.
So the people factor has come to the forefront, and we realize the livelihoods were secondary, but the lives were primary. So that's what the COVID has taught us. Turning to Chivanti, let me slightly modify the question. Having gone through the rigor of PIM, I'm sure we invited you to be the speaker at the inauguration, I think more than once. So how would you look at your research experience at PIM, and how has it contributed to your current leadership position? And how would you currently look at research in helping your leadership decisions?
To be very honest, the transformation through the PIM research and the learning, I've personally felt the transformation was that doing the impossible when I really thought I couldn't. I think I've shared this in some other forums of PIM, that I never thought I could be the managing director of Ceylon Oxygen. I worked there for 20 years. I knew the company inside out. I knew the processes, but it wasn't for me. But since actually being with PIM, walking through PIM, walking through the mill, I saw myself doing lots of things that I would never have thought of doing. That transformation, I believe, is the personal confidence that we gained. What kind of triggered us to understand what we could do, the stretch, what was impossible. So I felt even the contribution that I did as a finance manager before I was taken up as an MD, the level of the quality of the decisions, the way we looked at things, the way we looked at other options, really changed, because we were working like within a box, not seeing what is outside of the box. But suddenly, after PIM, I really felt what the value we brought to the table did really make a lot of difference, which others started seeing. So that is when I really thought that this is something that I could take. So those are some of the thoughts that I would like to share, sir.
Thank you. And let me now turn to the MBA coordinator. How would you look at Sanjay in terms of the current batches, the current learning partners? How should they concentrate on research in linking to the industry requirements?
See, for the first time last year, we introduced, I think, with Dr. Jayawardana's initiative to introduce these 5 project options to the MBA, where you could pick a field project, a problem in your organization, or a skill project, or an entrepreneurship project. If you're bent for research, you go into real research and so on. So I think with my limited knowledge, of course, there are lots of overseas MBAs which really drives this point of the MBA learning partners bringing an industry problem into the class and finding solutions through a structured process. With a lot of pride, I can say that it's only PIM that offers this kind of a rigorous sort of a study framework, training people's mind to think like that. I think a lot of credit must go to the faculty led by our director and Dr. Jayawardana and Professor Dharmasri. I think because of that, we are now seeing very, very industry relevant as well as very timely problems that have been identified, and people are looking for solutions. And I have seen some of the learning partners say, wow, I never thought, as Shivanti was saying, wow, I never thought that there is a problem like this. And I thought this is very difficult to solve. And when you really go through the rigor that we get people to go through in terms of identifying the causes, in terms of finding solutions and getting them to read relevant literature, may not be about their own company, but in the industry and related industries. I think there's a huge value addition, and lots of the people are now implementing as they should. You implement it in the organizations and the organizations benefit. And when you see the value creation in the organization, I think there's a lot of appreciation of the efforts. And as Shivanti said, you are recognized for being a person who creates value in the organization. And because business is all about creating value to your customers and capturing value inside the organization. And if somebody helps the organization to do that, obviously you become very, very valuable. So I think not because I'm at PIM, but I think we are very proud to be contributing to the industry in a way, in a thought-provoking manner.
Thank you, Asang. In fact, it reminds me, when you see something impossible, when you go through it, finally it becomes, I am possible. I am possible. So I can see smiling Dr. A.K. Javadan in the back, the architect of the whole range of different options. And thanks to the director who always encourage to go for this diversity. And then I think collectively we are very happy that we are doing something meaningfully. So let me open up the forum now for questions from the physical participants as well as the virtual participants. Any questions for the panelists? The floor is open. Please raise your hand and the microphone will come to you. If you have any questions, any clarifications, anything you would like further elaboration by any of the panelists. Okay, so there's a question. Can we pass one mic? Yes. Keep your question brief, and if you want a particular panelist to answer, please mention the name.
Yeah, actually, sir, this is common questions.
Yeah.
Because this is one we face it, and because now sometimes we lose the sense of time, because we are talking about COVID-19, which is 3 years ago. Now 3 years has gone. And when we discuss, I mean, applying the knowledge in a corporate sector is also a challenge. But applying the warranted knowledge into present condition with the COVID is a bigger challenge. So when we are talking about the concepts, models, frameworks, and theories, some of the theories that we are going to apply, when we are applying, the immediate junior generation is questioning whether it is or it can be applied because it is pre-COVID. So in your point, my point is, like when we are going to apply these concepts, so-called proven concept for the last 20 years, let's say, now people are questioning. In your point, in your opinion, whether do you think whether we should change these concepts, model, and some of the frameworks according to the COVID, or we just forget about this one as an outlier and move the same that we will learn for the last 20 years or 50 years? That's my question, sir.
Thank you for that interesting question. Who would like to take it up? Yes.
I think it's a very, very good question. This is my personal view, and this is based on my experience. This COVID has taught us some lessons, no doubt about it. And there are new ways, and as they said, there are new ways we are finding that is better to do business today. We have found that. There's no doubt about it. But please understand, I think you would also understand, we all understand the fundamentals of business. How to do business remains the same. It's all about creating value to the customer and capturing value. And the fundamentals of doing this business remains very, very, I mean, I would say has not changed. But there are things that we can change, and there are lessons that we have learned and we can apply. But if we really, really think that everything has to be now thrown away because COVID has come, the world has changed, and so on, I think we would be sadly mistaken. I was listening to the current, one of the multinational chairmen. He was saying this COVID thing is glorified. As you quite rightly said, it's 3 years old now. World is coming back to normalcy. If we don't get our act together and think that COVID, working from home, all those things, we are not getting our act together. Working from home is good for some kinds of businesses, but for traditional FMCG, hardcore businesses, this whole working from home and all that, I think we have to be very careful in terms of the choices that we make. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to convince the young generation. Some of them have started work from home, and how to change them to get back to hardcore business is very difficult. You know, personally, I have found this working from home. I'm not against that, but it can sometimes be very detrimental to business. That is my honest opinion.
Any other comments from any other panelists? Yes, please.
I would like to add something to that. This working from home concept has diluted our leadership skills also, and the socializing, how to do negotiations, how networking, how to make friends. I think we have to go back and read those books now, how to make friends. Because we also find it very difficult because we can't retain people because they were the first question when we invite them for an interview, what they ask is it working from home or office? That's what they're asking. But as an IT company, we also have identified working from home will never take your business to the next level, and even the country to that matter, because the new generation, they don't know actually what is like working from office. I think some of them, they passed out from their universities during the COVID period. So actually they don't know. Actually, there are employees we have recruited during the COVID period. They recruited working from home. They left working from home. So I also personally don't believe in working from home. I think we should start working from office because then only we'll become human again. That's what I feel.
Okay, interesting.
I have a
Yeah.
slightly different, I'm not objecting to what has been said, but I believe it can be customized. For example, the company that I work for, it's a multinational. There are certain functions like planning and control, doing the reporting, finance, maybe some admin functions, which can afford to work from home, but not all 5 days. So we've now brought in a system where 2 days from home, 3 days in office. Because as you rightly said, Anjana, people don't connect with each other when you work from home. But if you have been in office, for example, people of our age, it's a different thing. For us, we can quickly adapt. But the younger generation, they prefer to work from home. It is all because of convenience. But I think each business should look at their business module, because working from home is also a cost reduction. You don't have your fuel charges. You're saving for the country as a whole if you, use less. And also it is, it gives a best fit. This is my personal take.
Interesting. In fact, Unilever global head said that we will not go back to 9 to 5 work day, but 3 by 2 by 2 week. 3 days at office, 2 days working from home, and 2 days weekend. So it's a hybrid model. Now, hybrid work systems are increasingly getting popular because that's a workplace ecosystem where working at office plays a predominant role, but you are giving some provisions, particularly a mother having an infant, like that. There can be certain cases, but as Asanka said, the primary thrust, as Anjana also said, should be the networking and should be the engagement in the office front, office premises, but you can support that with working from home option, so to make it a hybrid work arrangement. Okay, I think that was an interesting insight. The whole purpose of having an industry dialogue is to have intellectually stimulating interactive insights. So the floor is open for many questions. Next question, please. Someone, any chat questions from the virtually connected people? I'm sure my co-chair, Professor Nilakshi Galahitiava, is a keen follower from Dubai, UAE.
Yes, Professor. May I ask a question? I'm not pointing any of you. So basically, the purpose of this forum is to translate knowledge from research to practice. So by listening after all the presentations, as the leaders in the business, what type of take-home messages that all of you have? So how make it different to thinking or application of knowledge?
Sure. In fact, I was planning as the final question.
Oh.
Take home message from each one, but anyway, that's fine. We can ask them each one to have a take home message from their leadership expertise, from their leadership background. Thank you. In fact, we were thinking similarly being co-chairs. That's fine. So let me this time start from Shivanti. Your take-home message from a leadership point of view to the industry people who are research-oriented or who would like to gain some insights from research. In fact, linking research to the industry.
Be practical as possible, because You can do all the research in the world, but if it is not practically applicable, if you don't bridge that gap, it could be of no use. So my take-home message is be practical as possible.
Thank you. Over to you, Mahesha.
My message is, while I say be practical, I will also say, don't be scared to take a challenge, because sometimes getting onto a research sounds a daunting task. When I started my research, that's what I felt. I'm never going to do it, but then of course I did it. But take on a bigger challenge. Just don't be scared to take the plunge and just jump into the deep end. Just keep your nose up and keep swimming and you'll get there. That's my message to you.
Thank you. Over to you, Anjana.
Okay, thank you. One thing is, what I learned today is, first you learn and change, because you can't offer anything what you don't have. You can't give anything what you don't have. And also, I would like to invite all the organizations and professionals who are listening to this and who are in this forum, revisit your strategies, your sales strategies, marketing strategies, human resource strategies, finance strategies, everything again, because world is changing fast. There could be changes you have to do. There could be adjustments you have to do with the learning of research, as well as the practical aspects and the considering the future. So change is required. Revisiting strategies is required, and ethical and empathy is required.
Thank you, Anjana. Over to you, Mr. Hassan.
Yeah. What I find is that we can all do research, and we must do more of that. We must do more of industry related research, which can add value to the industry. But doing research is one thing. You must do good research. You must do applied research, goes without saying. But the businesses will benefit only if you could execute the findings. Now, execution is a different game. For execution, what I have often found is that you need inspirational, influential leadership. Now, when I say leadership, a lot of people think that I need to be the CEO, I need to be a top manager to be a leader. No, everybody is a leader. If you can influence somebody, you may not have thousands of people reporting to you. You may have even nobody reporting to you. But if you are able to influence somebody and get your research findings implemented, you're a real leader. Then only the business will really see value in your research.
Interesting. In fact, listening to all of you all, I was thinking, as they say, research is to see what everyone else has seen, but to think as no one else has thought. So, so many apples fell into so many people, but it is only Sir Isaac Newton started thinking differently. And then the theory of gravity was created. So I think we have a challenge. In fact, if I am to connect this to the current socio-economic crisis, as we discussed now, there's no more COVID. And we were expecting the spring after COVID. And the media was talking about the spring. They say, Vasante enava sattai. But instead of Vasante, we had a Vasangate. So we had, instead of that, we had a Vyasane. So we had a crisis. Now we have hit the rock bottom. Technically, we are a bankrupt nation. So I would like to, I would like to tap your brains as a final question. In the current socio-economic crisis that we are facing as a nation, how can research contribute to the industry? May I start with Mahesha?
As Dr. said, we are really at the rock bottom at the moment. So how I see research can contribute is, again, identifying issues, identifying the present problems, and trying to give solutions, connect with variables, connect with results, which no one else has done. Because that's what we need. We need creativity, we need novelty, we need different thinking. Otherwise, we as a nation cannot get out of this. Because if every one of us wait till somebody does something and somebody helps us from somewhere, it would not work. So therefore, the solutions are out there, but how many of us have been able to connect them and see them and bring them into perspective? So that's where research come in. As was mentioned, it's not something from another planet. It's from here, it's from around us. But seeing it is what is different, because a lot of the people pass it by and they don't see it. So that's where we can really help the country by seeing our current problems and thinking differently, thinking deep, thinking unique in a unique way, and trying to bring solutions so that all of us as a nation can come out of this, and we can also, very importantly, stop young people from moving out of the country. So I think we all have the responsibility to ensure that the younger people do stay with us, so that we do have a future leadership being built.
Thank you, Mahesh. Over to you, Anjana.
Thank you. Research teach us to listen to others. That's what I feel. So in a crisis like this, all this time everyone have been talking. So we have to first settle down, stop talking, first listen to everyone, and give equal opportunities to express their ideas, because I think all of us as professionals, with our experience, we have very good ideas to come out of this crisis. If the relevant authorities try to get those from us, at least through a forum or whichever method, I'm sure they should be able to find at least 10 good ideas to come out of this crisis. Because I know in my company, there are like many ideas came across while we were discussing about the crisis. So I'm sure research help us to listen to the others and get good learnings from them and execute those. Then we will learn what to be executed, what need not to be executed.
I think that's an interesting insight. They say the leaders who do not listen would end up surrounded by yes men and yes women. And we saw that happening in some time in the country, where it started as a case study and ended up as a chase study. Case study becoming a chase study. So turning to Shivanti, yes, your insights about the current economic crisis, how the research can be of help.
I think there's enough and more research done on what solar power can do. This is my personal take. I think if we as a country can resort to that, we are addressing more than 50% of our problem in power crisis. And that saving would actually take us to greater places. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. Over to you, Sanjay.
I think research should give confidence to people, at least the community, the learned communities, to stop the blame game. We have blamed enough on the politicians and the past leaders and all that. I think if we all stop there and we do research and we get the confidence to contribute, that is much, much better, or the time well spent, than having blaming discussions and blaming the politicians and all that. You must do that over a drink or something. Otherwise, precious time should not be wasted on that. Time should be spent on, as Shivanti and Anjana and everybody said, on good things, positive things. And then through research, you get the confidence to confidently talk about it, convince people, and then implement those, as opposed to wasting time.
Thank you, Asang. In fact, we have beauty in abundance, and we have brilliant brains in this audience. The problem is the blunt politicians. So brains, beauty, and blunt politicians. So let's not curse the darkness. Let's light a candle. And I think we can contribute through research. And then that's where we selected that theme, reflecting reality through research. So I would conclude by sharing a good news. PIM being a pioneer in postgraduate management education in Sri Lanka, we launched the MBA program in Sri Lanka, and we are going to launch the first rigorously approved by the UGC Doctor of Business Administration, DBA, with the SLQF framework accredited one. We'll be launching it in January. We have already seen an enthusiastic response from the business community because earlier MBA was the norm, and now after MBA, they asked the question, what next? So we said the long wait is over. Now we have another product. So I'm taking this opportunity to invite people who want to have a thirst for research and to enroll in a rigorous research with depth and breadth. PIM will give you yet another pioneering opportunity, and the details are available in www.pim.sjp.ac.lk. Visit our website and get the details of Doctor of Business Administration program. So with that, I think we have done the justice to the time allotted, and I thoroughly enjoyed being with you all, and two thorns among three roses. So I think we together, perhaps we discussed and I think some takeaways, and thanks to the wonderful presenters who really inspired us. And let me take this opportunity as the co-chair of the PIMARC 2022 to thank all of you, despite your busy schedules, for being with us. And thank you for your wonderful thought sharing. And I'm sure those will be useful for us to build the country better, for us to have a renewed Sri Lanka through research. And the real contribution of research should be felt, should be understood, and should be used for the betterment of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all the members of our elite panel who was here sharing their wonderful thoughts and contributing their ideas and insights to the discussions and the presentations that took place. Can we have another big round of applause to our presenters of our presenters and our panelists of this evening, please? Thank you. Next, it is time to recognize and appreciate the panelists for their wonderful contribution. May I kindly invite Dr. Senaka Kalum Gamage, accompanied by Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka, first to hand over the certificates for the presenters of this evening. So you can come to this. I would like to also request the. So you can come. May we also invite Dr. Travis Pereira to join the team as well on stage. The panel members could take the seats. Thank you. Can we have the certificates handed over to Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka? First, Mr. TMW Suranjit. Next, we have Mr. BAS Induwara. SR Gamhevage. GAA Rukshan. Ms. AW Henadirage. To hand over the certificates for the best papers, we would like to also have on stage Dr. AKL Jayawardena. The best paper award in the category of Management Research Project Stream 1 goes to MSH Ratnasiri. The best paper award in the category of Management Field Research Project goes to Mr. E. Malan. I would like to request Dr. Callum and Dr. Samantha to remain on stage to hand over the plaques for the panelists. Thank you very much, Dr. AKL, and thank you very much, Dr. Travis. To recognize our panelists, I would first like to invite Ms. Mahesha Amarasuriya. Ms. Anjana Vijay Singha. Ms. Shiranti Tevara Peruma. Mr. Asang Ranasinghe had to leave early due to a commitment, and we recognize his contribution to the forum. And last but not the least, the moderator of this evening, Professor Ajantha Dharmasiri. Thank you very much, Dr. Callum and Dr. Samantha. So that brings us to the end of an eventful day indeed, where reality was reflected upon through research, and we sincerely hope that the new insights that were shared today will enable all the participants as well as those who joined us online to take this knowledge back to their workplaces, back to their research practices, and hopefully contribute with new knowledge that will help us to steer our ships, no matter what it may be, a not-for-profit, a private sector organization, a government organization, or an academic organization, to steer that ship into calmer waters amidst the current crisis storm that we are all facing. It is my honor to deliver the vote of thanks, after which we shall conclude and a kind request to all those who are physically present here today to join us in front for a group photograph. These are the moments and memories we will all cherish in the years to come. First, I would like to thank Dr. Sena Kalumgamage, Director of PIM, for his leadership and contribution towards making PIM Annual Research Conference and the PIM Annual Research Conference Industry Dialogue a success. Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Samantha Ratnayaka, the stream coordinator for the Industry Dialogue, for his valuable contribution in coordinating all activities of today. The panel members who were present despite their busy schedules and who made sure that vital insights were shared. The presenters for all your effort despite the challenging workplace commitments you have and various other challenges. You took time not only to do a good research, but also to come and share it with us today. Thank you very much. As I said earlier, you are the star of this evening. And the sponsors, MasterCard and PBSS Group, for your support in making the required contributions towards us and helping us to make this event a success. The faculty of PIM who are present here today, as well as who are present in the morning, and those who are joining us online, for continuously supporting us throughout this project. The organizing committee of the PIM Annual Research Conference, for the name list would be too long, but I'm quite sure it's each and everyone's contribution that we were able to make this event a success in these challenging times. So thank you to everyone who was involved in the organizing of the PIM Annual Research Conference. The staff of PIM who are contributing towards making our events a success, sometimes even staying beyond the required times and helping in whatever possible way we ask. And one such group of staff we cannot forget is the technology support staff, the IT center team with Mr. Sisir Aturuliyage, with Mr. Savan, Prabhash, and everyone who made sure that the technology seamlessly operated starting from 8 AM onwards up to now, and made sure that this event gets live streamed to everyone all around the world. Thank you so much to the IT team as well as the entire staff of PIM for their contribution. And last but not the least, the audience, those who are here today, those who visited this event to participate, to share your ideas, to gain new knowledge. We did it for you and we hope you benefited. And those who joined us online as well, we hope you got the new insights and the knowledge that you came for. And with that, we bring to the conclusion the PIM Annual Research Conference 2022. Reality is something that keeps getting reshaped every second. And in a few days' time, in a few weeks' time, as we enter into a new year, indeed, the dawn of a new year will also be the dawn of a new reality. And to reflect on the new reality in 2023, PIM Annual Research Conference 2023 will be back. Until then, good night and thank you.